Well, good afternoon. What a fantastic year. It's certainly fun to give this report. $1.7 billion of net income for this company. That's a record for us. $1 billion of cash returned to you, our owners. Another record for us. And that is certainly a reason to celebrate, isn't it? Strong earnings, good work by the company. But also, a reason to celebrate is the way we do that. It's every owner, every employee, every customer working together to make this an exceptional year. You know, and that's how co-ops work. Multiply our buying power, working together to make some exceptional results and looking to find those market opportunities when we can. Now, you probably heard us say, I've said it myself, well, we were just fortunate that we had markets that went in our favor, that the wind was at our backs. You know, and it certainly was. The market was at our favor. And we were fortunate. But we were also fortunate that this company worked hard over the past few years to try to put in structures and controls, getting the right people in the right spots. Centers of excellence, strategies, growth strategies, and working on a new operating model so we could come to you differently. A lot of hard work, but that hard work allowed us to take advantage of those market opportunities, and so the wind was at our backs. And now we know that the wind will change, won't it? We're in commodity business, it's going to change, and it's going to come in our face. But that hard work is going to help us succeed. And I know we're going to succeed because we're connected. We're connected as owners all across the country to this entire system of a cooperative system we have, this entire system of CHS. And being connected like that, that helps us grow as a company, helps you grow. You know, we think about growth all the time. It's fundamental in what we do in agriculture, isn't it? We grow crops, we grow livestock. In our families, we see our children grow. They go through the changes of life and the challenges and the rewards of life. No different in our businesses. We know that our businesses must grow. They have to adapt to the world as it changes in front of them. But I think, you know, we'll all agree, bigger is not better. That's not the answer. Bigger can be a component of growth, but it's so much more. It's growth in understanding, capabilities, efficiencies. It's these kinds of things that make CHS a better company. Now, we know the future is not always going to be easy. But we can be prepared if we are focused. And we're focused on the meetings, the needs of our owners. All of our owners. Your needs. My needs. And that growth, fed by our connections with our customers and business partners that are all over the world, that helps us thrive. We can thrive then as owners, as customers, as a company, and as a system. And how do I know we're going to thrive? How can I be confident we're going to thrive? Well, it's because of connections. You know, last year and the year before, we talked to you about our purpose. Our purpose is creating connections to empower agriculture. That's not just words on a paper to us. That's how we go to work every day. That's the business that we do every day. And those connections that happens in CHS by doing that allows me as a farmer. I'm a farmer in eastern Iowa. I raise corn and soybeans. So it allows me to be connected to the entire system of CHS. You know, last week I was meeting with my agronomist, and we were talking about the crop nutrient needs on my farm, and I've gotten some fertilizer applied. I still need to apply some, and I said, can I get more fertilizer? And he said, yes. No problem. And I thought, yeah, he said that with a lot of confidence, but he was confident that it would be there. But if you think about that, that's an incredible system, isn't it? that fertilizer could come from all over the world. It could come from the Middle East, Northern Africa, up in Canada, Florida, from our CF partnership. Somehow it has to get to my farm. So this team's working over a year ago, saying, hey, Dan and others just like him are going to need some fertilizer. So they start working with our suppliers. They start getting ships to the ports. They work with trains and barges and trucks and get it to the co-ops, get it to my farm. It's an incredible system, isn't it? And then when I go out to fuel up my fertilizer spreader, I just grab the nozzle and I know there's fuel in there because I'm connected with CHS through an automated system, so I never run out of fuel. But again, that system is so complicated. Our team started months ago buying crude oil from all over the country and into Canada, bring it into the refineries, making diesel fuel, and moving that diesel through a myriad of pipelines and trucks and rail to get to my farm, into my tank. And I never think about it. But what an incredible system that is. Then you just think about propane. We all need propane to heat our homes, heat our hog buildings, heat our shops, and we just might need it to dry our grain. So the team starts working, the energy team starts working early in the summer, storing propane in caverns, these enormous caverns in Kansas. And they're doing that just in case I need to dry my corn, or you need to dry your corn. That's what the cooperative system, that's what it does for us. And that's just the start. You know, as I start moving my corn and my soybeans off my farm, I'm connected to the entire system of CHS. So my corn may end up in an ethanol plant and sold in a Cenex gas station. It may go down the river to Myrtle Grove and shipped over to Africa and to Europe. It may go to the Pacific Northwest on train, and it may go over to Asia. It may go over to China or Korea. Incredible. It may go, my soybeans may go up and get processed in the soybean processing plants where we make soybean oil and soybean meal. That oil may end up in our joint venture with Ventura where they make mayonnaise and salad dressings and other consumer products. The meal may go down the river and shipped all over the world for feed. So my soybean products may be going to some Chinese hog farmer, or it may be going into the food of somebody in Thailand that's sitting in a restaurant eating. And I bet, they have no idea that they're connected all the way back to my farm, to your farm, through this just incredible system. It's an incredible system, isn't it? So the board, as they're thinking about managing this, they understand that there's a large amount of risk. We have to understand the global risk of this company, understand benefits, and how do we grow effectively. So in partnership with management, we're working on a growth framework. It's a structured, deliberate way of thinking about growth, focusing on rational, thoughtful decisions that support a strong balance sheet, drive growth, and still returns to you, our owners. Now, we're aware we're a cyclical business, and we can't control all those cycles, but we can be prepared for them, and we can find those opportunities in those cycles. One of our CHS leaders said it very well and very simply. He said, if we're doing this well and we're working together, we can raise our highs higher, but we also can raise our lows higher. We gain the most advantage if we operate and cooperate and connect. It sets us apart. And it's why I'm so proud to be a part of CHS. A lot of companies, they're searching for that story. You see it when you go buy things. They have this story, and they say, you should buy our products because of this great story that we have. Or you should come work for us and be a part of something bigger because of this great story. Well, think about what we have. We're cooperative. We support farmers that feed and fuel the world. We support farmers that feed and fuel the world. We're owned by those farmers. And when we succeed, we share those profits with those farmers. We reinvest in the communities that they live in and our employees live in. We do that with assets. We do that with talent. And we do that with giving. I mean, that's a great story, isn't it? What a story we have as a cooperative. It's part of this community spirit that we help communities. And I want to highlight what's going on here this year. The CHS Foundation is celebrating 75 years of enhancing the lives of rural America by trying to support the next generation of ag leaders. They're making a real difference, partnering with universities, funding programs for teachers, and supporting those new students in ag careers. So in a few minutes, you're going to hear about 3 remarkable teachers. They're passionate teachers about their programs and what they're doing to support the next generation of ag leaders. And then you're going to get to vote. Vote on how to divvy up our 75th anniversary funds to those 3 teachers. We think it's kind of a fitting way to cap off this first part of this session, and it's also to demonstrate our commitment to our future ag leaders. You know, cooperative spirit is one of our core values, and we take it very seriously. A year ago, our Ukrainian colleagues were going about their lives just like we do. Going to work, going to school, taking their kids to soccer, doing all those things like we do. And in an instant, their lives turned upside down, and they went into survival. And they're still there. And this is tough. This is tough for them. But also what we saw is their colleagues in Europe went into action also in an instant. They started calling them, and they're still doing it today, making sure they're okay, trying to provide for them in the best way that they can, you know, in the chaos that we have of war, providing them a safe haven out of the country for them and their families in case they needed protection and shelter. You know, we're a company that's global, but we're more than that. We're a cooperative. We're a family. We take care of our own people. And our board, they couldn't have been prouder of what they saw with the cooperative spirit. It was so impressive. You know, the board is working on governance, and we talk about growth. When the board thinks about that, they understand that as the company grows, our governance also has to grow and adapt to meet those needs. And the board wants to talk to you about 3 areas of governance. Every one of them is a bylaw amendment. And the first one has to do with engagement of our owners. We talked to you about this last year, and mentioned it last year, that we are going to propose a bylaw amendment that would give the board the flexibility to name the time and the place of our regional election meetings. And if you remember, we talked about this coming out of the pandemic. We had some difficulty in making sure we got the proper engagement of our owners at our regional election meetings. So this bylaw amendment it's fairly simple. It's just to name the time and the location of those regional meetings. It's not a requirement, but just an option for the board of a time and location. No change in director terms or the election process. And the board, they recommend the passage of this bylaw amendment. You will see that tomorrow during the regular session. You're also going to hear about it tomorrow morning in the caucuses. So I'd encourage you to attend those caucuses. They're open to any member, so please attend them, where you're going to hear about these bylaw amendments. You're also going to hear about more details of the company, and you're going to be able to do that in a much more intimate session. So I'd encourage you to attend that. The second area of governance deals with director representation by region. So when CHS was created, we set up a process for changing the number of directors by region. and that was based on the amount of business done in that region. There was a threshold set up, and if you met that threshold in a region for 3 years, it triggered the board then to act to make some changes. Well, that threshold has been met in Region 7, and it triggers the board to act. The action the board takes then for the process is in 2023, we're going to recommend a bylaw amendment that will increase the number of directors in Region 7 by 1 and decrease the number of directors in Region 1 by 1. Now, we're going to continue to talk about this over the course of the next year, and we'll get your input in that, but we encourage you to vote for this in 2023. If you pass that amendment, then this process will take an effect for the 2024 meeting and for that election during 2024. The third area we're going to talk about is equity management. Again, last year we talked to you about equity management and the board's commitment to looking at equity management to assure that we had a strong patronage program, and that patronage program was sustainable long into the future. And they did just that. And I want to highlight the Capital Committee for their hard work. Dave Johnsruth, he chairs the Capital Committee, and this group did a lot of work, a lot of extra time, looking at scenarios, using inside and outside resources, trying to project into the future what our program will look like. So in a nutshell, what they found is we are allocating equity at a faster rate than we can redeem it. And the rate we're doing that is unsustainable, and we need to make some changes. Now, you might have been in the education sessions this morning and this afternoon where you heard about that. You saw some of those charts, and you heard the challenges that we think we have in trying to maintain a strong equity program well into the future. And you probably heard about the solutions, which we believe are important. And it's a bylaw amendment, and there's 2 parts to the bylaw amendment. The first part, it deals with preferred stock dividends. Currently, our preferred stock dividends are not deductible from patronage earnings. So we pay our stockholders preferred stock dividends. We also include that in patronage earnings when we calculate patronage earnings. This is different than how we handle debt. For debt, the interest we pay on debt is deductible from our patronage earnings, and the board believes we should handle our preferred stock dividends the same. So this bylaw amendment would allow the board to deduct preferred stock dividends from our calculations of patronage earnings. The second part deals with giving the board some flexibility on the holdback. In our current bylaws, we're restricted to holding back from your patronage earnings into the unallocated reserve from 0 to 10%. And the board makes this decision every year to hold back that equity from 0 to 10%. As the board thinks about this and we think about the future of the company, we believe we have a strong program today. I think it's evident by $1 billion of cash coming back to the country. Strong program. We feel good about that. But as we look to the future, to the company that we'll have for our children and for our grandchildren, we think there may be difficulties if we continue down this path. And we believe the boards of the future need that flexibility to manage that balance sheet, to manage that program and do what's best for you, our owners. So the board's asking you to give them the flexibility to go from 0 to 45%, and that choice would be for them every year. Now keep in mind that neither of these solutions affect what's already on the balance sheet. That allocated equity that has your name on it, it does not affect that. Nor does it affect how we think about how we provide cash back to you, our owners, in patronage and equity redemptions. That process still stays the same. When we make those distributions, we keep 2 or 3 things in mind. These are the pillars that we've talked about in the past. First of all, we are going to maintain a strong balance sheet. That's just an absolute. We are going to maintain a strong balance sheet. And then we want to be able to pursue long-term growth. So we're going to make sure that our company is in a position to pursue long-term growth. So when you see an opportunity that's in the long-term best interest of you, we can execute on that. And then lastly, we always want to keep in mind what's in the best interest of our owners and of CHS. We know that patronage is extremely important to you. We know that cash back to the country is extremely important to you. But we're going to do that in a thoughtful way. We're going to do that in a way that we can afford. So you may ask, well, you're talking about this as the future, and it is. It's talking about the future. Why make those changes now? Well, we think the board thinks it's the requirement that we have to think about the future. And it's our responsibility to make sure that this company that we have today and this strong patronage program that we have today can be shared in the future with the next generation and the generation after them. And we want to assure that that happens. We believe this is the right thing to do. Now, this is just the start of it. We're just introducing it today. We're just talking about it. We're going to continue to talk about it the rest of the year. Tomorrow in your caucuses, you're going to hear more about that. And then throughout the rest of the year, we'll have meetings. And if you want us to come talk to your board, ask us. We'll come talk to your board. We want to make sure you're comfortable with this. We want to hear your feedback. We anticipate bringing this to a bylaw amendment in the 2023 annual meeting. Now, I want to thank the board for this. A lot of work, a lot of diligence on this. And also, they have the oversight of the company. Just a lot of work by them. So if I could please get you to stand. If we could bring the lights up, we could stand and recognize the board. Please stand up. Thank you. I also want to recognize the families and the team at home and the spouses that take up all the slack while we're gone. A lot of help to make sure that the families still stay successful while we're trying to help CHS. So thank you all for that too. The board is committed to the long-term viability of CHS, the co-op system. It's in every decision that they make, right down to the farmer, right down to you and me, each of us. It's just each of us are connected in a unique way. We all have our different connection to CHS, to the co-op system. But when you combine those together, and then you combine that with the strength of our cooperative system, our local co-ops and our country ops, that allows us to connect to that Middle East fertilizer dealer and have some buying power. It allows us to be a reliable supplier to somebody that wants wheat, and they want it year-round because we're connected here in the U.S., Brazil, Argentina, and the Black Sea. It allows us to leverage so we can get more markets, new markets in Japan and Asia, dozens of other countries for the soybeans that I produce or you produce. It's that global strength of CHS. And it combines that with the local expertise, your local co-ops, country ops. Just delivers an incredible system. You think about that. It's a combination that, if it works well, it's just unstoppable. It's unstoppable. What a system we really have when you think about that. It's an immense system. It's an evolving system. But it was built for you, by you, for all of us. You know, when I think about this cooperative system, I think it's just handing us opportunities. It's just handing it to us. And so many we haven't taken advantage of yet. But it is just handing it to us. It's right there. All we have to do is connect. You know, if we can connect, and we can grow together. If we can connect, we can thrive together, all of us.